I want to talk about the things that may have led to me getting ick in my aquarium. My first week of owning my tank, I had watched a video that said I should cycle it for at least 7 days, not understanding what cycling actually meant. I waited 7 days and thought I had cycled my tank. The reality of cycling your aquarium is you need the nitrifying bacteria, and there's 2 types. The first type converts ammonia into nitrites, and the second type converts nitrites into nitrates. If you don't have a planted aquarium, you need to get rid of the nitrates. You're also going to need to do water changes more often. Some seasoned veterans have managed a way to only do top-offs and 0 water changes. Most of us newbies will need to check parameters and do a 25 to 30% water change. How often depends on your parameters. For me, ammonia and nitrates were okay in range, but my nitrates were a different story. For some reason, I'm impatient. I decided to take the plunge and bring some fish home. For me, it was 6 neon tetras, which I love. Everything seemed fine. This is right around the time I found out I hadn't really cycled my tank. In jest, I decided it may be a good idea to add my own bacteria using Tetra as a safe start. Into my second week, by way of other YouTubers, I realized I could have a cleanup crew. That really isn't meant to clean your aquarium, but help. So I decided to bring home more fish, 2 pepper cory and 20 gold shrimp for that purpose. I also bought 4 more neon tetras. I wake up the next day to find a few shrimp had died and one of the neon tetras didn't make it. The day after, 2 more neon tetras and the smaller pepper cory passed. By the 3rd day, the last of the new neon tetras passed. From that batch, only one of the pepper corys made it. I went back to the PetSmart where I got them from, and they had signs posted that they wouldn't sell fish until April 14th. I went back on April 14th, and they had another sign that they wouldn't be selling fish until further notice. Things like this don't normally happen, but they do happen. It just so happens it happened to me. I did so many things wrong here, including dumping the fish water they came in on, and maybe overstocking a 10-gallon tank a little too much. Lesson not learned. 2 weeks passed, and I decided to test my water parameters, and everything except nitrates were okay. The nitrates were deep red, meaning more than 40 ppm. At the time I didn't know it, but the fertilizers I was adding actually add nitrates. This is also right about the time I started realizing that activated carbon doesn't do planted tanks any favors. Watching one of Aquarium Co-op's video, I also started learning about hotrodding filters and that the cartridges sold were just a ripoff, but if you're a beginner, they still come in handy. So a month in, I decided I didn't want the cory alone, brought him home an albino cory, as well as 5 glow light tetras and 1 more neon tetra, giving me a total of 14 fish in a 10-gallon aquarium. Upon further research, I learned that cory are schooling or shoaling fish, and you need to keep at least 5 or 6 of the same kind to have them thrive. That's probably a further update as I plan on upgrading to a 20-gallon long later. So all seemed well to this point, but I suspected I may be pushing the limit stock-wise once again. Murphy's Law kicked in, and last week I started noticing little white specks on my glow light tetras, but didn't make the connection that it might be something serious. A day or 2 passed, and after more research, I find out that my fish have ick. Well, first thing I do is rush over to the PetSmart and get some API Super Ick Cure. That's what the first 2 videos in my ick saga are all about. So in short, I wasn't patient enough and I dug my own grave, so to speak. Now I understand the importance of a quarantine tank, but do have a hopefully successful ick treatment under my belt. 7 full days have passed since I first dosed, spreading each of those doses 48 hours apart. On that last dose, my fourth, on my videos I made the mistake thinking it was my fifth. I didn't see the specks anymore, and I'm hoping I'm done with the ick problem. I suggest you watch Pritime Aquatics' video on ick treatment, as he goes much in depth about the whys and the hows. Some of the steps he takes I didn't, like heating up your aquarium, nor was I able to try the aquarium salt or ick X, but I only found his video after I had bought what I used, so hopefully you don't have to go in blind like I kinda did. Have patience, do your research. There are probably more YouTubers than the ones I'll link at the bottom of this video, but these are the guys whose videos I run into the most. Probably more to do with my searches than their popularity, or both. Now I understand the importance of a quarantine tank, but do have hopefully successful Now I understand the importance of